In crucial runoff elections for control of the US Senate, latest projections say the Democrat, the Reverend Raphael Warnock, will win. The Democrats have also pulled narrowly ahead in a second contest. They need both seats to gain control of Congress. It looks to be a final blow to Donald Trump's presidency, although he's yet to concede victory to Joe Biden. Congress is meeting on Wednesday to formally certify the result. More than 50 pro-democracy politicians and activists in Hong Kong have been arrested under a new security law. The UK has said it's a grievous attack on the rights and freedoms protected under its joint declaration with China. And the EU's drug regulator has approved the US-made Moderna coronavirus vaccine for use across all 27 member states. And they're all your latest headlines.
Britain begins stay-at-home restrictions for the third time Tuesday in an effort to limit the spread of the coronavirus. South Korea is sending a delegation to Iran to seek the release of its seized oil ship. Iran denies holding the ship and the crew as hostages. The European Commission says it regrets Iran's decision to restart production of highly enriched uranium, which was banned under a 2015 nuclear deal. And voters in the U.S. state of Georgia will decide on 2 U.S. senators in a special runoff election Tuesday.
We start here in Japan. Officials reported over 6,000 daily coronavirus infections on Wednesday, a new record. The surging numbers are prompting concerns it could overwhelm the country's healthcare system. The increase comes as the central government prepares to declare another state of emergency for Tokyo and 3 neighboring prefectures, Kanagawa, Saitama, and Chiba. The area now accounts for half of the country's daily infections. A final decision is expected on Thursday. The declaration will likely be in effect until February 7th. It'll give prefectural governors the legal authority to urge residents to cooperate with prevention efforts. The 4 governors will ask people to refrain from non-essential outings after 8 p.m. They'll also request that bars and restaurants close by that time. Schools will not be asked to close. But the government plans to step up restraints on the number of spectators allowed at live events. It'll also ask companies to encourage remote work. The head of the Medical Association hopes the move will lessen the strain on the country's healthcare system, but cautioned more action may be needed.
Depending on how the virus spreads, we may have to consider a nationwide state of emergency.
Cases continue to surge in the capital. Tokyo reported a record 1,591 new cases on Wednesday. 113 people are seriously ill. That figure is also the highest to date. Meanwhile, Japan's National Institute of Infectious Diseases says it's isolated the new variant of the coronavirus that's been spreading in the United Kingdom. It was cultured and identified from samples taken from people who had tested positive for the coronavirus upon arrival in Japan. 25 people have been found to have new strains of the coronavirus in Japan. The institute says it'll provide samples of the new variant to scientists around the world for further study. A Japanese scientist who's strongly promoted the idea of social distancing is predicting a challenging time for Tokyo's efforts to curb the surging virus. The Japanese government seems poised to declare a state of emergency for the capital region, but measures may not be as strong as last April. In this next report, we look at several options to address the issue.
I want people to remember why I called for efforts to cut back on human-to-human contact by 80% during the first wave of the outbreak.
When Nishiura was part of the government's first coronavirus task force, he made a persuasive case to the public. Limit your outings now, so you can enjoy life later. Streets emptied. Workers stayed home, schools and gyms shut down, and big events were canceled during the April state of emergency. The number of daily infections dropped significantly. But since then, case numbers have soared higher than ever, putting the healthcare system under strain. As the government plans its second declaration, Nishiura has a new message.
Depending on the measures, some emergency declarations are more powerful than others.
Countries around the world are projecting the virus's spread using reproduction rates, which estimate how many people each carrier will infect. A number higher than 1 suggests cases will continue to grow. Nishiura calculated a reproduction rate of 1.1 in Tokyo, which he used to independently estimate the potential growth of the outbreak under several conditions. If no new measures are introduced, Nishiura predicts the daily tally will rise to about 3,500 by the end of next month. By the end of March, the figure would nearly double to just more than 7,000. If limited measures are introduced, including asking bars and restaurants to close early, Tokyo would flatten the curve, but daily infections would remain relatively high. But if strong measures can bring Tokyo's reproduction rate to 0.72, the expert simulation shows daily cases could be brought below 100 by the end of next month. Nishiura says, regardless of the measures taken, a state of emergency would need to be in place for at least 2 months, twice the length planned by the government.
It's very important for a state of emergency to produce concrete results, like an obvious decline in new cases. If we can't get those results, there will be major social and economic repercussions. I think we need to take responsibility for devising measures to drastically reduce the number of new infections.
Nishiura says that means, once again, cutting back on personal contacts. He suggests asking people to stay home unless they need to go out, including working from home.
Hong Kong police have arrested 53 pro-democracy activists on suspicion of violating a national security law for the territory. It's the biggest crackdown so far under the new legislation. The arrested include former Legislative Council and District Council members. Democratic Party sources relate that former party leader Wu Chi-wai is among them. Police say they're suspected of subversion.
They tried to hamper and destroy administrative functions. Simply put, they tried to paralyze the government.
The arrested politicians took part in pro-democracy candidate primaries for the Legislative Council election that was supposed to be held last September. They'd been hoping to win a majority in the legislature, reject the government's budget bill, and force Hong Kong Chief Executive Carrie Lam to resign. This is believed to be the first time a subversion allegation has been made since Beijing imposed the controversial security law for the territory in June last year.
The government no longer cares about public opinion.
I feel powerless after so many pro-democracy activists were arrested.
The Chinese government stands behind the Hong Kong authorities.
We support efforts by the Hong Kong police to fulfill its duty based on law and to protect the safety and stability of the territory.
About 30 people had been arrested for suspected violation of the security law by Wednesday. Prosecutors in the U.S. state of Wisconsin have cleared a police officer of criminal charges in the shooting of a black man last August. The incident came just 3 months after the death of George Floyd and further inflamed anti-racism protests. The episode took place in the city of Kenosha as officers responded to a domestic dispute complaint. Officer Rustin Shesky shot Jacob Blake 7 times in the back as he leaned into an SUV. Blake was seriously injured. His 3 children were in the back seat.
No Kenosha law enforcement officer in this case will be charged with any criminal offense based on the facts and the laws.
The district attorney said he couldn't disprove the officer's contention he was acting in self-defense, fearing the man would stab him. Blake's uncle was angry there would be no charges.
This is bigger and greater than little Jake. It really is. This is about all the little Jakes. And that's why the people keep coming out and supporting us. You know why? Because it could have been them.
Blake's attorneys say they're looking at bringing civil action to seek justice for the victim. Meanwhile, unrest in Kenosha has been growing and there are calls for protests. Wisconsin's governor has authorized the deployment of about 500 National Guard troops to help maintain order. Japan's meteorological agency is warning of heavy snowfall in many parts of the country from Thursday through Saturday. Officials are advising people to refrain from non-essential outings. Yokote City in Akita Prefecture, northern Japan, has already been hit by a record whiteout. Members of the Self-Defense Forces are responding to a disaster relief request from the prefecture.
I was really concerned the snow might crush the building, so I'm truly grateful to the SDF for helping to clear the snow.
There have been many reports of people dying while shoveling the buildup. In Ugo Town, Akita Prefecture, a 74-year-old man was found dead, buried in a drift. Police believe he either fell from the roof or snow fell on him from the eaves. NHK research shows at least 29 people died between December 15th and Wednesday. More than 400 domestic flights have already been canceled. Bullet train service in Yamagata Prefecture will be suspended on Thursday and Friday. Weather officials forecast heavy snow across wide areas along the Sea of Japan. They expect up to 120 centimeters over a 24-hour period to late Friday afternoon. Officials say the cold air mass is stronger than the one that came during the year-end and New Year holidays. They're urging caution due to the risk of avalanches and snow falling off roofs in Tohoku and Hokuriku. The snow there is already 3 to 4 times deeper than usual. It's time for world weather with our meteorologist Jonathan Oh. Northeastern portions of Australia are still seeing serious rainfall. Jonathan explains if drier weather is coming anytime soon for the region.
Hello, it's been a pretty wet several days across the northeastern areas of Queensland as we've been dealing with the remnants of a system that still is in the area, a tropical system. That low pressure area is going to continue to bring some rain into places like Cairns, and another system will continue to bring some rain along down south into Brisbane and Sydney as we go throughout Thursday. So have those umbrellas nearby as we'll be dealing with that wet weather. Looking at showers in Sydney with 21, 27 in Brisbane, 33 in Cairns, a little bit drier toward the central areas of Australia as we go through Thursday. We're looking at a high of 33 in Alice Springs. We are talking about a big snow pattern and chilly weather ahead as we go through the next few days across Japan. We've been dealing with snowfall along the Sea of Japan side of the country for the past several days. But now it's about to really snow hard, and the reason is because we have a couple areas of low pressure rolling over, and then some of the coldest air of the season will be rolling across the country. It was already a windy day on Wednesday. We're going to see even windy weather again on Thursday along with that snowfall. Look at the next couple of days. Look at that big white areas of snow extending from Hokkaido back toward Kyushu as well. We are talking about significant snowfall totals over the next few days from Wednesday into Saturday. 300 centimeters of snow possible as we go through the next few days for the Hokuriku region. But even places back to Kyushu can see up to 60 centimeters of snow, and up toward the north 180 centimeters possible into the Tohoku region. On top of that, winds can gust as high as 144 kilometers per hour into some of these locations, especially for the northeastern regions of Japan as we go through Thursday. So plenty of snow to Sapporo, Tokyo. Bundle up. It's going to be windy as we go through Thursday, and single-digit highs expected on Friday. Snow also possible into Osaka as we go through Thursday. Hope you have a good day wherever you are.